Alrighty, so the next course here, we're gonna go into our stuffed pork tenderloin course. So what we have is our beautiful roasted Good Family Farms pasture-raised pork tenderloin stuffed with a little bit of sourdough stuffing. We get the sourdough from Kith and Kin, and they're working at the Bruce Wine Bar right now, and they're making some incredible baked goods and some beautiful sourdough. We have a little bit of smoked apple, which will have like a little bit of a smoked apple package like that. Where we get the apples from Goldsmiths, and there's some Honeycrisp apples. So a nice sweet, but kind of like they'll hold like a lot of texture when you cook them. So they're a great cooking apple. So what I did is when I heated up the pork tenderloin, I took the pork tenderloin and I put the little package of apples and just dumped them out in here and then threw that in the oven. And the pork tenderloin takes about 15 minutes to reheat roughly. And then about half that time, so let's say about 7 minutes in, I took the cabbage and I threw that in the oven too as well to heat up. Cool. And then we also have, this is like a little pack here, and it looks kind of dense. So we took some beautiful beef bones from the Good Family Farms and made a jus. And we have a little bit of juniper bloom mustard seeds in there too as well. So we're gonna take that small saucepan that I was talking about earlier, and we're just going to dump that sauce and all that mustard in that pan. And it's like a really dense little brick, but you'll kind of see what happens when you add a little bit of heat. So a nice like medium to low heat on that, and you're basically just going to melt that jus and heat it up gently, but you don't want to over reduce it because it is already thick. So during this time, the pork will be in the oven. So I'm just gonna pop that back in the oven.
You got your pork and your apples and your cabbage.
So pork and the apples are in the cabbage. So that will take, for the pork, roughly about 15 minutes to reheat. And then the cabbage, about 7 to 8 minutes to reheat too as well. So I'd throw your pork in, and your puree for this dish will just be in the simmering pot, which we talked about in the last video. In a sense, very, very condensed stock or broth.
And why is it kind of gelatinous like that?
So you're just extracting all of the marrow out of the bones. So whenever I kind of buy bones for stock from Mitchell, I make sure to buy marrow bones, because all of that collagen stuff is really going to help that thickening process.
Now it's just a beautiful sauce. Yeah.
Cool. So that's just nice and melted. Just make sure we won't hit that with too high of heat because we don't want it to over reduce, and we don't want it to burn either too as well. We shall take our puree out, and kind of the same thing as the carrot puree. And we'll cut the bag. So this is a celery root puree. So kind of those classic pairing of pork, celery root, apple, cabbage. We have our pork and apples. And we'll just set that on the cutting board here. Kind of let that relax for a couple minutes. So what we have is some dehydrated beet dust and a little bit of beet shoots here for the garnish.
And of course we're using one of the final 2 plates.
Yeah, this is a
organic
oak plate from Spirit Wares. It's a gorgeous plate. It's not too big, but it's like that perfect size.
And it has a little bit of a lip. You can't really see it overhead, but it's has a bit of a bowl shape to it.
Yes. Again, we'll just kind of work in a circle here and spread that puree between 2 dishes here. Kind of using the tip of the spoon. What we're gonna do is we're gonna take this pork tenderloin here and we're gonna slice this into 6 nice little slices. Alrighty, so we'll just trim a little bit off the end here on each end. Alrighty, so 1, And a very sharp knife is very important for this. 2. 3. 4. 5, 6.
Okay, what are you doing here, sweetie?
So again, I'm kind of working on the 3 points. And like dishes can be played in so many different ways, but this is definitely my favorite way to do it. I find visually it really adds a lot of the plate. So we're just kind of like working around the edge, kind of almost in a C shape here. So what we'll do is we'll take a little bit of that cabbage and we'll put that in the center. So we charred this cabbage over some really nice wood coals, and then marinated it with a little bit of maple syrup, some apple cider vinegar, a little salt and pepper. So it's very smoky, a little sweet, a little sour. And we have 3 nice little points here.
Yeah, that adds a lot of depth to the dish for sure.
It really does. Cool. Some of these smoked apples. Cool. And I'm just gonna like a little bit of that smoked apple on top. And we're gonna go back to that really nice sauce.
That's just been tickling on the back there that whole
Just
time?
very, very low. Just basically enough to melt it and keep it warm. And then we're gonna take that sauce and we're gonna drizzle that right over everything here. And just divide that between 2. Finished with a little bit of these beet shoots here. Then a little bit of this dehydrated beet dust. Alrighty.
Here we go, you guys. Dig in and we'll see you back for dessert. Enjoy.